Hello and welcome. Before we begin, take a slow breath in and let it out. If you're listening right now, maybe it's late at night. Maybe you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, or sitting alone with a heavy feeling you can't explain. And maybe you feel lost. Not lost like you don't know where you are, but lost like you don't know who you are anymore. If that's you, I want you to know something first. You are not broken. You are not behind. And you are not alone. You're simply standing at a point in life where your old self no longer fits, but your new self hasn't arrived yet. Tonight, I want to tell you a quiet story, a story from my life. And I want to share what it taught me, so you don't have to learn it the hard way. When I was younger, I believed adulthood came with certainty. I thought grown-ups always knew what they were doing. I thought they had answers. I thought life became clear. But one day, I realized something that shook me. Most adults were just moving, not living. They woke up, rushed, worked, worried, came home tired, and then did it again. And I was one of them. I remember one evening, nothing dramatic happened. Nothing bad happened. I had a job. I had food. I had a roof over my head. From the outside, my life looked fine. But that night, I sat alone in my room. And I stared at the wall, not because I was sad, not because I was angry. I was numb. It felt like my soul had gone quiet, like someone turned the volume down inside me. I asked myself a simple question. What am I doing? And what scared me most was that I didn't have an answer. That was the first time I understood this truth. You can have a full schedule and still have an empty soul. Let me tell you something, being lost is not a rare thing. It happens to young people. It happens to middle-aged people. It happens to older people too, because being lost doesn't belong to a certain age. It belongs to being human. Sometimes we feel lost because we tried too hard. We worked too hard. We sacrificed too much. Sometimes we feel lost because we stayed too long in the wrong job, in the wrong relationship, in the wrong version of ourselves. And sometimes we feel lost because we've been living someone else's life. You see, but life will hand you a script. Go to school, get a job, make money, buy things, stay busy, stay successful, but nobody asks you, are you okay inside? Nobody teaches you how to be peaceful. If you take anything from this episode, take this lesson. Being lost does not mean you failed. It means you changed. It means your old life can no longer hold your new mind. Sometimes being lost is the moment your soul says, I can't pretend anymore. You outgrow things. You outgrow people. You outgrow dreams. You outgrow the version of yourself that was built to survive. So if you feel lost, don't shame yourself. Ask yourself instead, what have I outgrown? And be honest, maybe you outgrew the need to impress people. Maybe you outgrew the need to always be strong. Maybe you outgrew the version of you that kept saying, I'm fine, when you weren't. This lesson will save you years. Most people suffer because they want to be understood by everyone. But the truth is, most people are too busy with their own pain to fully understand yours. And that's not cruelty. That's human nature. There will always be someone who misunderstands you, someone who judges you, someone who thinks you should be different. If you build your life around their approval, you will never be free. Freedom begins when you say, they don't have to understand me for me to be real. Because the truth is, you don't need everyone. You need a few good souls. And most importantly, you need your own respect. Most people think their way into clarity. But life doesn't work like that. Clarity is not a gift you receive. It's something you build. And you build it through small actions. One honest conversation, one small step toward health, one morning where you stop lying to yourself. Even if you don't know the whole plan, move anyway, because life rewards movement, not perfect thinking. And here's the quiet truth. Sometimes the path appears only after you start walking. Now, I want to give you something practical. Tonight or tomorrow morning, take a piece of paper, write this at the top. What do I need that I keep ignoring? Then write 3 honest answers. Not what you should need, not what looks good, not what other people expect, just the truth. Maybe you need rest. Maybe you need boundaries. Maybe you need to leave something behind. Maybe you need to start again. Then ask yourself, what is one small step I can take this week? Not a big step, a small one, because small steps done consistently change your entire life. If you've listened this far, I want to speak directly to you. You might be going through something that nobody knows about, a quiet struggle, a heavy mind, a tired heart, and you might be smiling in public while falling apart in private. I've been there, and I want you to remember this. Feeling lost is not the end of your story. It is the moment your life asks you to become honest, to become real, to become free. One day, you will look back on this season and you will realize this was the moment you stopped living on autopilot. This was the moment you started waking up. So tonight, breathe. You are not late. You are not weak. You are simply becoming. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this story helped you, leave a comment and tell me where you're listening from. And if you'd like more quiet stories, more life lessons, and more calm wisdom, subscribe to Quiet Wisdom Stories. Now, before we end tonight, let me share one more story with you. A story about regret and the quiet lessons it leaves behind. Let me tell you another quiet story. Years ago, I knew someone who was always fine, always smiling, always joking, always saying, "I'm good." But inside, they were drowning, and nobody knew because they were too proud to admit it and too afraid to burden anyone. One day, they disappeared from my life. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just slowly. Fewer messages, fewer calls, less presence, and I did what most people do. I assumed they were busy. I assumed they were okay. I told myself, I'll check in later, but later has a way of turning into never. When I finally reached out, it was too late, not because they were gone, but because the distance had grown so large that neither of us knew how to cross it anymore. And I remember sitting there holding my phone, thinking, why did I wait? Why didn't I just speak? That day, I learned something painful. Regret is rarely about big moments. Regret is usually about small moments that we ignored, the small call we didn't make, the small apology we didn't say, the small truth we kept inside. And that's why, if you're lost, I want you to understand, your life is not made of huge decisions only. It's made of tiny choices every single day, and those tiny choices become your future. Sometime when people say they feel lost, what they really mean is nothing feels meaningful anymore, and that feeling is terrifying. Because when life loses meaning, everything becomes heavy, even simple things. Getting out of bed, replying to messages, doing the dishes, going to work, it all feels pointless. And in that state, many people start blaming themselves. They say, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be normal? Why can't I just be grateful? But listen, meaning is not something you have. It's something you create. And you don't create meaning by chasing excitement. You create meaning by living in truth. Truth in your relationship, or truth in your work, truth in your choices. A lot of people don't feel meaning because they are living a life that isn't honest. They say yes when they mean no. They stay when they want to leave. They pretend when they want to cry. And after years of that, the soul becomes tired. Not tired like the body. Tired like I don't recognize myself anymore. So if you feel meaningless, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what truth am I avoiding? Because the truth is usually where meaning begins. Let me share a simple rule. It's saved me more times than I can count. Here it is. Never make permanent decisions during temporary emotions. When you feel lost, your emotions can become loud. Fear becomes loud. Loneliness becomes loud. Shame becomes loud. And in that noise, you might think, so I should quit everything. I should disappear. I should give up. But those thoughts are not wisdom. They are pain speaking. So when you feel lost, slow down. Do not destroy your life because of a bad week. Do not burn bridges because of a bad day. Do not give up on yourself because you feel tired tonight. You don't need to fix your whole life. You just need to get through this moment, one moment at a time, and that is how people survive and eventually heal. Now, let's talk about tomorrow. If you wake up tomorrow and you still feel lost, here is a small plan, not a big plan, not a life-changing plan, a small one. First, drink water and eat something. I know that sounds simple, almost stupid, but when your mind is heavy, your body suffers too, and a suffering body makes the mind darker. Second, go outside for 10 minutes, just 10, no phone, no music, just air and light. Let your nervous system remember. The world is bigger than your thoughts. Third, do one small task, not 10 tasks. 1, make your bed, wash 1 plate, reply to 1 email. When you complete 1 small task, your brain remembers, I can move, and movement creates hope. Fourth, tell the truth to someone safe. Not everyone, just one safe person. Say, I'm not okay lately. That sentence can change everything because suffering grows in silence. But healing begins in honesty. And if you don't have someone safe, write it down. Write the truth, even if nobody reads it, because you need to hear yourself. Before I let you go, I want to say this again. If you feel lost, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not weak. You are waking up, and waking up can feel painful because you start seeing what you ignored. You start feeling what you buried. But this pain is not punishment. It's growth. It's your life calling you back. So tonight, be gentle with yourself. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to stay with your life, stay with your heart. And now, before we truly end, I want to share a few more lessons, the kind I wish someone told me earlier, because these are the things that can change the direction of a life. Let me tell you something about time. When you're young, you think time is endless. You think, I can fix it later. I can try again later. I can call them later. But time is quiet. It doesn't warn you. It doesn't shout. It just leaves. And one day you look back and you realize you didn't lose your life in one big moment. You lost it in small delays, in the small things you kept postponing, the walk you didn't take, the dream you didn't start, the apology you didn't say. That's why, if you're lost right now, don't wait for a perfect plan. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the right mood, because the right mood doesn't come first. Action comes first, and then the mood follows. So tonight, I want you to remember, time is not just passing. Time is building you. Every day you repeat the same pattern, you become that pattern. And every day you choose something different, you become different. I want to tell you a story. I once knew a young man, smart, hardworking, good heart, but he was miserable, not because his life was bad, but because he was always looking sideways. He looked at his friends, their jobs, their relationships, their cars, their vacations, and every time he looked, he felt smaller. He felt like he was losing, even when he was doing okay. One night, he told me, I feel like I'm behind everyone. And I asked him, behind who? He laughed, but he didn't have an answer. Because comparison is strange. It makes you compete with people who aren't even competing with you. It makes you feel late, even when you're exactly where you need to be. And the truth is, you can't compare your inside to someone else's outside. You don't know their pain. You don't know their fear. You don't know what they cry about at night. So if you're lost, please don't make it worse by comparing your life. Comparison doesn't inspire most people. It poisons them, and it steals the joy of the life they actually have. Let's talk about success. Most people think success means more money, more attention, more achievement, but I've met people with all of that, and they still felt empty. Because success without peace is a very expensive prison. And here's what most people don't understand. If your success costs your health, it's not success. If your success costs your family, it's not success. If your success costs your sleep, your sanity, your kindness, it's not success. It's sacrifice. And sometimes it's sacrifice for nothing. Because at the end of life, people don't remember your titles. They remember how you made them feel. They remember whether you were present. So if you're lost, maybe it's because you're chasing something that isn't meant for you. And that's okay. It's never too late to redefine what matters. You don't need a perfect life. You need a meaningful one. Now, let me talk about love. Not just romantic love, but love in general. Love is one of the biggest reasons people feel lost. Because when love hurts, it changes the way you see yourself. Some people spend years trying to earn love, trying to prove their worth, trying to be enough. But real love doesn't make you beg. Real love doesn't confuse you. Real love doesn't punish you for being human. And if someone only values you when you're useful, that's not love. That's convenience. If someone only respects you when you're quiet, that's not love. That's control. So if you're lost, ask yourself, am I living in love or am I living in fear? Because fear can look like love, but fear will always join you. Love should feel like safety, like warmth, like home. Here is something I learned. People don't change because they don't know what to do. They change when their identity changes. When you see yourself as a tired person, you live tired. When you see yourself as a victim, you live powerless. But when you start seeing yourself as someone who can rebuild, everything changes. So if you're lost, maybe it's time to choose a new identity, not a fake one, a true one, a stronger one, for example. Instead of saying, I'm lost, say, I'm rebuilding. Instead of saying, I'm broken, say, I'm healing. Instead of saying, I can't, say, I'm learning. Words matter. Because you live inside the story you tell yourself. So tell yourself a better story, not a perfect story, a hopeful one. Now, take a breath with me. In, slowly, hold, and out. Again, in, hold, and out. If your mind is racing, if your heart feels heavy, let this moment be your reset. Oh, you don't need to solve everything tonight. You don't need to carry the whole world. Just be here. Just breathe. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to stop and return to yourself, because you can't find direction when you're panicking. Direction comes when you are calm enough to hear your own voice. Let me tell you something important. Starting again is not shameful. Starting again is brave. Many people stay in unhappy lives because they fear starting over. They think it's too late. But listen, it's only too late when you stop breathing. As long as you are alive, you can begin again. You can learn again. You can love again. You can build again. And maybe your life is not falling apart. Maybe it's falling into place. Maybe the old version of your life has to break so the new one can be born. That's not failure. That's transformation. Now, as we come to the end, I want to leave you with this. If you feel lost, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're aware. It means you're ready for a more honest life. And I know that honesty can feel scary, but it's also freedom. So tonight, be gentle with yourself. Do not punish yourself for being human. Do not shame yourself for feeling deeply. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And if this story helped you, subscribe to Quiet Wisdom Stories and come back again. We'll talk again soon. Good night.